Good morning, Ms. Moore. You can begin.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Awesome to be back together again in our learning environment. Just want to thank everyone for participating in our event this morning. Our featured presenters from DC Small Business Development Center Network at Howard University. Welcome again and we thank you so much for the partnership. I want to start out, of course, by thanking and congratulating my small business program office. Again, another phenomenal event that you've put together under the leadership of Ms. Howard, Michelle Howard. Thank you for everything that you all do. It's such um, a blessing to everyone to come together in a learning environment, and you guys hit it out of the park each and every time. So thank you for that. I bring you greetings from our CEO and General Manager, Randy Clark. I'm sure you guys hopefully have already met him, but he's definitely out and about. He's in the system. He rides the trains. He wants to feel the impact of our customers so that he can make good informed decisions. He speaks from his platform of customer centricity, as well as safety and security, and also DEI. So he's focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and we have his full support for all of our procurement programs and especially our small business programs. You hear him talking about the system is rebounding. I know we've had some challenges with our safety and security and that we are addressing, but the ridership is definitely coming back. I don't know if you were one of those 2 million or so people that I saw when we went to visit the cherry blossoms, but everybody was on the system and it was a good thing to see, especially for our revenue. We have tons of projects that are coming and we'll speak a little bit about that, but I wanted to make sure that you are engaged in the projects and you know what's coming down, coming through the pipeline. Of course, you know that we have 97 stations. We run a bus operation of 1,600, and we also run the Metro Access for the challenged population. With all of that said, we're proud to talk about our contract awards. Have a phenomenal procurement team as well. They're accredited with awarding $2.2 billion in contract awards in the last fiscal year, FY22. So far this year, we've awarded $1.3 billion for FY23 and issued over 19,000 purchase orders. One more quarter to go. We're in the final quarter of FY23. I also want to announce that for the federal fiscal year, we exceeded our 25% DBE goal and reached 33% achievement for federal fiscal year 22. So we are striving to not only meet our goals, but to exceed our goals. So I wanted to announce to you this morning for the current capital program that's been approved by the board. For the next 10 years, we will be spending $26.1 billion, $26.1 billion over the next 10 years. And the types of projects that we're talking about, you need to be involved in it. You need to get involved. It's across the gambit. We're talking about construction. We're talking about IT, new buses, electric buses. We're talking about building rail yards, railways, landscaping, anything you can think of. And of course, we have all kinds of consultant services. Anything you can think of, we do it, we buy it here at Metro. So we want to make sure that you know about these programs. We want to make sure that you understand how to be ready to take advantage of these opportunities and also to network and engage with some of the vendors who are already doing business with us. We have started to advertise our vendor fair. This is our first in-person vendor fair since before the pandemic. It will be August the 16th at the hotel at College Park. Wanted to let you all know that the Eventbrite registration is open now, and we're inviting everyone to attend. There will be activities for networking, matchmaking. You'll learn about our capital program. You'll hear from our general manager and his vision. So please make arrangements to be part of that event. Also want to just talk to you about being registered to do business with WMATA, and also about your certification. That's the key to everything. Being registered is how we communicate with our vendor population, and also if you're a small business, to become certified to participate in all of our programs. So again, just want to thank you for being a part of this event. And Michelle, you want to take it away?
Thank you so much, Suzette. Really appreciate that. I'm excited too. I tell you, this will be my first vendor fair with WMATA, and I'm so excited, about everything that's going to be taking place. I mean, the opportunities that we have are phenomenal. The educational classes, the speakers, and as Suzette said, our new general manager will be there. So I know this is going to be out the ballpark.
Absolutely. So raising the bar every time.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. As Suzette said, I am Michelle Hobble, Director of the Small Business Programs Office. I want to thank you all today for participating in WMATA Small Business Programs Outreach in collaboration with the DC Small Business Development Center Network at Howard University to bring you Business Success Series Volume 4, The Price is Right. Things to consider when pricing your projects. We are so excited about this collaboration because the DC Small Business Development Center Network, they always add so much support and value to the success of small businesses. As Suzette said, certification is the key to participation, and we encourage all certified and those not certified small businesses to get certified with WMATA. We have 5 socioeconomic programs that you can be certified in. We have the DBE and SBE programs, which is our federal programs on that side of the house. And if you don't know, we have our new minority business, small business, and micro business programs, which are our non-federal local programs. So please check out our website and learn more about these programs and think about, get certified with WMATA. We are definitely open for business, and we want you to be a part of our contracting opportunities. Remember, we are your metro, the way forward. Please put all questions in the chat. I'm asking it, please, again, put all questions in the chat. And remember to fill out your surveys that will be sent to you after the outreach. These surveys help us to plan events that can benefit or support your business growth. So the feedback is very important to us in how we choose those events and/or topics that will help you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Charles H. Mott. He is the Associate Director at the DC Small Business Development Center at Howard University here in Washington, D.C. In this capacity, he works directly with the Executive Director in planning, implementing, managing, and evaluating and reviewing reporting to the DC Business Development Center activities throughout the DC network to the U.S. Small Business Administration. He also counsels numerous small business clients, providing technical assistance, training, assistance with access to capital, and a lot of business research. In 2021 alone, he counseled over 125 small businesses through the DC SBDC. So let's welcome Charles, and he will introduce our awesome speaker.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And I want to first say thank you for this great collaboration with Metro. This has been a labor of love. Both of our organizations support small business and want to see them grow and expand. So we're excited not only for this culmination of this series, but also for future activities that we're going to plan out with Metro. As Michelle said, my name is Charles Mott. I'm the Associate Director with the DC Small Business Development Center. We're a SBA resource partner. We're not the SBA, but we're tasked as a resource partner to help small business in DC. So as Michelle said, we provide a variety of services to support small business, both new and existing. In fact, last year we counseled over 800 clients, small business clients in the DC area. And the speaker I'm about to introduce was part of that effort in terms of helping them grow and expand. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Lisa Anderson. I've already seen her slide deck, so I know what she's going to talk about with regards to herself, but I want to talk about a couple of things that is not on the slide deck. One that's not on there is that she's an accomplished author. She has 2 books out. I believe it's 2 books now, and both of them are excellent reads. It's definitely, when I look at the books I want to have on my shelf to help me with my small business, her books are the ones I would want to have on the shelf because they definitely give you some great insights based upon lessons learned, as she knows as being a business owner. A couple other things, she's about to complete her master's in business, and we were talking about that before the presentation started. And I'm sure she's adding that as a tool to help her small business clients, which she's passionate about. She's worked as a business counselor with the SBDC. She's spoken on numerous occasions for us and helped our clients grow and expand. And I'm sure from this presentation today, you're going to have some great takeaways. So without further ado, Miss Lisa Anderson.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the warm introduction, and thank you for having me today to talk about what I think is a really critical part of business. I also want to thank the Small Business Development Center as well as WMATA for having me here today. I'm excited about presenting this information and look forward to engaging with you all. So let's jump right in. So we're going to talk about the Price is Right, things to consider when pricing your projects. And as Charles said, I am Lisa Anderson. I am a strategic business advisor and a virtual CFO. My company is unallowable Transformation Solutions. This is actually my second business. My first business was a full outsourced accounting company that served primarily the small business and mid-sized business communities in the federal government contracting space. We also did some federal government contracting work. We were MBE certified, 8A certified, you name it, we were certified. What I'm going to share with you today are concepts that I have taught across the gamut as it relates to working with small businesses here in the Washington, D.C. area and abroad. We've served companies in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, all across the United States and Australia and Africa as well. So I'm going to share with you a number of things that we've done over the course of my career. Again, I have had the opportunity of working primarily with small businesses. It's my passion. And one of the things that I like to say is my legacy goal is to help 1 million achieve millions. And I am really on that mission. I want to help as many small businesses get into what I call the 7% club. And what does that mean? When you take a look at the statistics as they're reported by the Small Business Administration, there are 370 million small businesses in the United States and growing. That number is growing. But when you take a look at the number of small businesses that are earning $1 million or more in revenue, that's only 7%. And so what I want to be able to do is share as many insights as I can to help companies do what I like to say, grow from the inside out. And as I go through my presentation today, you will see that pricing is an inside out job. Oftentimes we go from the outside in, but it really is an inside out job. And that is part of what we like to do through the process of following our, what we call the Pulse Profit concept, where we help CEOs focus in on 4 key areas of business, which is your mission, marketing, money, and management, in that order. It's very important that you go in that order. And from that, we help them plan their vision, understand their numbers, leverage their resources, scale their opportunities, and engage a profitable team. Through that process, companies are able to scale to and through millions. And many of our clients have achieved Inc. 5000 status as a result of going through that process. So today we're going to talk about a number of things. The first thing we're going to talk about is three things we know that cause businesses to fail when they're establishing their pricing. We want to make certain that you are thinking about pricing in a different kind of way. I want to change your mindset as it relates to pricing. We're going to talk about the keys to developing prices that meet contract requirements. We're going to talk about unallowable components. Now, some organizations say unallowable components. What does that mean? We're going to talk about that. There are some things that you will do as a business that you may not be allowed to incorporate in your pricing. And we want you to consider those things, because as you are pricing your opportunities, you want to make certain that at the end of the day, your company is profitable and you're taking those unallowable things into consideration. We're going to talk about ways to weigh your pricing against the competition. And then we're going to also talk about what it means to be competitive. And you may ask me, Lisa, why is competition and being competitive at the end of the list? It's because it's the last part of the process, and most companies take it as the first part of the process. So today I'm going to share with you the steps that are necessary in order to create effective pricing for your company. But I want to learn a little bit more about you, and I'm actually going to ask the person who is moderating the chat, if you could read out some of the questions as I ask the polling questions here, because I can't see the chat. But the first polling question, I want to learn about you. The first polling question is, how many employees do you have? And I want you to answer in multiple choice, A, B, C, or D. And the first one is 1 to 10 employees, 11 to 20, 11 to 20, should be 21 to 30, and then 31 to 50. Which one? And then the last one will be over 50. So which option are you? Are you A, B, C, D, or E? And I'd like to know what's coming up in the chat.
So far, we have 4 that are A, 1 that is E so far.
Excellent. A and E. All right, very good. Excellent. All right, question number 2. What is your average annual revenue? Once again, multiple choice. A, up to 500,000. B, between 500 and 1 million. C, between 1 million and 5 million. Or D, over 5 million. Once again, let us know what your answer is in the chat.
Most appear to be A. You have a D and a C that just popped up.
Okay, very good. A, D, and C. Very good. So those are good ranges. So what best describes your business? Are you primarily a subcontractor, or are you primarily a prime contractor? So are you working on contracts where you are working through another company that holds a prime contract, or are you the contractor that holds a direct contract with WMATA or some other organization? Let's see what your answers are.
We have a few that said A and a few that said B, but it looks like the majority is saying A.
A. Okay, very good. The reason why we want to know that is there is some pricing differences and awareness that we may need to consider when we're a subcontractor versus a prime contractor. And all of the concepts that we're going to talk about today will lend itself towards both of them. But what I do know is, as a subcontractor, many times we are given a budget by the prime contractor that we have to live within. And so if we are following the concepts as we talk about today, that will give you the opportunity to weigh your options and give you some negotiating opportunity, because you have awareness about pricing from your internal operations to determine whether or not what is being offered to you is a good a good price, a good offer for you to live within. Question number 4. How do you feel about your pricing? And we have a couple of options here. So the first one is, my pricing is always on point and I win every time. That's option A. Option B is, I cringe every time I have to submit my price or a quote. And then option C is, my pricing could use some work. Which one are you? A, B, or C?
Looks like the majority are saying C.
C. Okay, pricing could use some work. I think that's pretty much where we all live, I think. And then the final question is, and I'd like for you to place some words in the chat. This is not a multiple choice. This is really what you think. What challenges you the most about pricing? Just in a couple of words, if you can put it in the chat, what challenges you most about pricing?
So the results are coming in, just
Okay.
being new to this.
Being new to
Just
this,
being
okay.
new to this, you don't know what you don't know. Next, trying to meet the middle ground, not too low, not too high.
That's a
Pricing
good one.
right to lose opportunities. It seems like the larger companies will win. We have someone else who is new to this.
Okay, very good. Well, those are all good statements, and I've heard them all. Actually, I've seen them all, and I've experienced them all. But what I wanted you to do is today, through this process, I'm going to teach you how to keep your finger on the pulse of your business and establish an effective price that gives you the power to negotiate. So these are acronyms that we're going to go through today, but I want you to remember each one of these. We're going to keep your finger on the pulse of your business that will help you to establish an effective price that gives you the power to negotiate. And that is my objective today. So when I take a look at pricing and some of the things that I've seen in terms of what companies have done, number one, I see them pricing their services too low, their goods and services too low. Number two, I see them failing to consider all their costs as it relates to their pricing. So in other words, they're accepting a price, or maybe they're putting a price out there, but they're not looking at the internal operations of what meets the objectives of what they're bidding on. They're undercutting. They're looking to be the lowest price, no matter what. No matter what impact that has on the bottom line of that organization. They're not researching the competition. They're using the same margin every single time they price an opportunity. And what you'll learn later on is that every single opportunity that you're pricing, that you're bidding on, should be a standalone opportunity. They're discounting their prices instead of adding value to the customer. So they're looking at price more so than the technical offer and the way in which they can help the organizations meet their objectives and their mission. And at the end of the day, they just really want to get their foot in the door. And so these are huge mistakes. And what we want to do today is we want to talk about how we get over those mistakes. So Elizabeth Wasserman, who is a contributing writer for Inc. Magazine, said, one of the secrets to business success is pricing your products and services properly. You have to know how to properly price them. Pricing your products and services correctly that can enhance how much you sell creates the foundation for a business that will prosper. So I want you to remember that. And getting your pricing strategy wrong, you may create problems that your business may never be able to overcome. And I have seen that happen. And so what we want to be able to do is talk about price. Here's our first acronym, PRICE, Price. What does price, how does price, I should say, how does price impact your business? And I want you again to think about pricing as an inside out job, not an outside in. So how does price impact your organization? Number one, as you are thinking about opportunities and putting forth a price, you want to measure your offer against, number one, certainly the profit that you can incur as an organization, as a company, once you put forth this price, this offer. Number two, certainly the revenue that will be generated as a result of putting forth an offer for on a contract for your goods and services. Number three, will this price give you the opportunity to invest in your infrastructure, invest in the future growth of your business, invest in any type of equipment and resources that you need in order to deliver not only on the contract itself, but also as an organization to remain sustainable? Will the price that you're offering enhance your cash flow? And will the price that you're offering help you move towards your exit strategy as an organization? Now, when you take a look at all these things, these are all internal things that you need to consider as you are pricing your services. But what many organizations will do, they'll first go outside to the marketplace and pull in certain things that they will use in order to price their goods and services and leave themselves last on the table. But I say you should start with yourself first, inside out. So once you know the impact of how your price is going to impact your organization, now you want to consider how this price is going to convert your customer. Don't go to and try to figure out how to convert the customer first. Think about how it's going to impact your business first, and then how is this price going to convert the customer? What is it that you have that you're offering that is going to help the customer to say yes to your price? And then finally, go out and take a look at, measure your pricing against the competition. So when I take a look at these things, all three of these areas, the inside, the customer, and the competition, most companies do it wrong. They do competition first, they go to the customer's budget second, and then they come internal to their operations last. And when I say they come last, it's usually after they have started to conduct business on that contract and realize that our bottom line is not as profitable as we intended it to be. So now what I want you to start doing is I want you to start thinking about inside out first. How is this going to impact our organization first? How does this measure against our customers' objectives? And then how does it measure against the competition? That then gives you a lot of great insight about your business and the ability to move forward with a lot of insight as well as comfort in the way in which you price your projects. Pricing can be probably the toughest thing you will ever have to do. However, there is an art and a science to it. Never, ever, ever pick a price out of the sky, which is what I see a lot of people do. They just come up with a price that really doesn't measure against their internal operations. It will take flight and leave you standing holding the bag if you actually take those pricings out of the sky. So you want to start from the inside out. So here's some realities about pricing. There are a variety of different prices and strategies that businesses can use. So you don't have to stick with one strategy. You want to weigh each opportunity and establish a strategy that meets that opportunity and also fits the business. There is no one surefire formula or approach that can be used. A lot of companies will ask me, what is the average markup that I should put on my price? Well, guess what? There is no average because every company is structured differently. So when I take a look at pricing, when I evaluate, when somebody asks me that question, I do an evaluation on that company and I help them determine what a good pricing markup would be, not going out to the market and trying to measure it against what everyone else is doing. So there's the good news and bad news to all of this. The good news is you have flexibility as an organization to develop good pricing. The bad news is you have flexibility to develop your pricing. And so we want to make certain that we're going through the process in a methodical way. Underpricing can be disastrous to your business. Just simply trying to undercut the competition, to beat the competition, to go to do a race to the bottom line can be disastrous to your business. Number one, being able to accurately price your products and services at any point in the economic cycle is extremely important to your bottom line. You need to be able to do that. Underpricing is an erroneous attempt to convince the customer or consumer that you are the least expensive alternative. Do you want to be the least expensive or do you want to be the best priced option to your customer that gives the better value? You're usually perceived as the cheapest one on the block when you underprice your goods and services. Do you want to be known as that? And you're not fully covering your costs, which means that at the end of the day, it's going to have a negative impact on your bottom line, and it's not a sustainable strategy. And so you want to make certain that we are going through the process of establishing good pricing methodologies. Overpricing can be just as detrimental because, as you know, overpricing means that we could find ourselves in a position where we're not winning. We don't have the ability to beat the competition. The competition is beating us instead. And so we want to make certain that we are pricing things just right. And so most of my experience, as I mentioned early on, has been in serving the federal government contracting community. The federal government is the largest customer on the face of this planet. And so if you can do work, if you can support the federal government and follow the guidelines that they have in place as it relates to cost accounting and pricing, you can be successful at any level. And so I do bring this into the conversation so that you can, even if you're not doing business at the federal level, and maybe WMATA is your main customer, or maybe state and local, or maybe even commercial, it represents your main customer, you can use these concepts in order to establish good pricing methodology. So when we take a look at government versus commercial, on the commercial side of the house, there really are no limits as it relates to regulations and how you price. What the market can bear is what you can often offer as a price. The primary focus on the commercial side is profitability. It is a top-down approach. So in other words, establishing what we want our revenue to be, and then we take the opportunity to have costs meet that revenue, and at the end of the day, whatever we're left with is profit. But on the government side, it says no, we are highly regulating this. We want to make certain that our taxpayer dollars are being appropriately managed and that our consumers are protected. And so at the end of the day, the primary focus is on cost, meaning that your pricing is a cost build up. You're starting with your cost. What is it going to cost me to do this work? What is it going to cost me as an organization? How much profit can I place on this? And then that then becomes our price. So that means it is a bottoms up approach. And that's what it means to do your pricing from the inside out. So at the end of the day, what that means on the government side is that your cost plus profit equals your revenue. And that's how I want you to start thinking about things. It's a budgeting process. Pricing is a budgeting process. So when you do those things, you can avoid the pitfalls. You can avoid having to discount your prices. I think I heard somebody mention in the chat that they want to make certain that their price is right, that they don't have to necessarily lowball to get the job, that larger organizations are winning. Well, you don't necessarily have to discount your price, but instead you can do what I say, which is scale your offer. Make certain that what you're doing to add value to your customer meets their objectives, and you have the opportunity to make certain that you are only adding to your cost, to your price, those things that are necessary to meet those objectives. You're proposing lower salaries is another pitfall that you want to avoid. When you propose lower salaries and you go out to market, you win that deal, you go out to market to hire the resources to do the work, you realize that you're going to take a hit to the bottom line because you priced yourself lower than the market could bear. So you want to be able to avoid that. You want to be able to avoid proposing inconsistent structure. One thing I recommend is that you think about how you want to develop your pricing models and follow those models consistently. Make certain that this becomes a process that is ingrained in your internal standards, the way in which your company does business. Grabbing at straws, we've already talked about that. We don't want to do that. No more grabbing at straws. It's all about us from the inside out. Make certain that you're adding fee to your offers. I have seen some small businesses that eliminate fee, and that is a big mistake. You want to make certain that you're adding your cost to do the work, the cost to operate as a business, and adding a fee on top of that so that you have appropriate pricing. When you do all these things, at the end of the day, you are effective in making certain that you're protecting your profit, your investments, your equity, your cash flow, all those things are being protected. So what is a winning proposition? Number one, keeping your customer in mind. You want to make certain that you are proposing against the customer's needs, nothing more and nothing less. You want to make certain that you're coming within that customer's budget. So ask those questions up front. A lot of companies are afraid to ask the question, but ask, what's your budget? A lot of times in the RFPs, it'll tell you that, sometimes it won't, but you have to ask the question. You want to make certain that you are adding value to your customer as you are putting forth your proposals. You want to make sure that you are compliant with the RFP. That means that you have to read the RFP from beginning to end. I can't tell you how many companies only pull the statement of work and they miss so many other areas of the RFP. You have to read the entire RFP because there are things that are embedded in the RFP that will have an impact on your price. You want to make certain, again, that you're keeping the company's goals and objectives in mind, because at the end of the day, you got to remember why you're in business. You're in business to generate a profit, to create the opportunity to invest in infrastructure, and to make a difference in the community. So you want to make certain that the opportunities that you're proposing are falling in line with your revenue goals, that they meet your profitability goals, and that they give you the opportunity to establish a budget and those parameters that fit within a customer's objectives. You want to make certain that you're minimizing the risk of non-performance. And that's what happens when you underprice your jobs, that you are creating an opportunity where you're not able to perform. And your customers want to make certain that you are going to be around for the duration of that project and preferably beyond. So show me the money. You're probably like every other CEO that says, show me the money. I'll just do anything I can to win the opportunity, but show me the money. And so I want you to know that there are 4 different types of pricing. There's premium pricing, penetration pricing, economy pricing, and psychology pricing. 9 times out of 10, if you're doing B2B pricing, if that's your primary focus, psychology pricing is not something that you're considering. But premium pricing, penetration pricing, and economy pricing generally will be something that you might consider. And really the middle ground is penetration pricing. Really, at the end of the day, we're pricing so that we can win the opportunity. And once we're inside, we can grow that opportunity into more opportunities to come. And so that's kind of where we will focus. This penetration pricing gives you the opportunity to enter the market with a fair price. It says low price relative to the competition, but I'll say a fair price relative to the competition. It helps to attract your customers. Why? Because it's meeting their budget. It raises awareness and encourages consumer and customers. And it also creates an opportunity for you to increase the word of mouth with your brand and grow your brand. Like I said, get your foot in the door and do what I call the wedge effect, which is grow the opportunity once you get your foot in the door. So there is a 5-step process or 5-step formula, and this is going to be our second acronym, which is PULSE. This is where we get to learn how to keep our finger on the pulse of our prices. So this is our 5-step process. Number 1, you want to prepare. You want to make certain that the opportunity that you are pursuing, number 1, meets the objectives of your organization. That it is going to continue to help you move the organization forward to meeting its strategic objectives, and is helping you as a business owner move towards your exit strategy. You want to make certain that it helps to meet your bottom line, right? You want to make certain that it is helping you to increase your profitability and giving you room to be able to make those investments that we talked about and build equity in the business. You want to remember why you're in business in the preparation process. The second step is to understand, and this is where I see a lot of companies leave money on the table. You have to understand what it costs to deliver your goods and services. You have to go out and do some research on what is the average price for the goods and service for the team that we're putting in place to deliver the services, or the equipment or the materials that we need to utilize to deliver our goods and services. We have to do the research, and I always say use the power of 3. When you are scoping materials and goods that are going to be offered in your pricing, you want to evaluate 3 different organizations, get 3 quotes before you actually make those offers in your prices. And then go out and take a look at salaries.com and some of the other salary surveys to make certain that what you are offering, what you're including in your pricing model, meets the salaries for those positions in the areas where you are proposing. So you want to make certain that you're considering that. You also want to consider your operational costs. You want to make certain that your overhead and how much expenses you're incurring to keep the doors open to your business. Those things need to be factored into your pricing. So you start with your objectives. You then do your analysis on what it costs to deliver, and now you're adding the cost of operations. So you need to be able to do those things. The next is to leverage. You have to do your research. Once again, on the salaries, you have to do the research on the technology, and you have to consider subcontracting. Either being a subcontractor or subcontracting to others. And again, that's where we utilize the power of 3. We want to be able to leverage those resources to get the work done. The next is to scan the marketplace. Now we're starting to build up our pricing that makes sense from the inside out. It's capturing all of the costs that we're going to incur as an organization. Now it's time to go out and take a look at how does this measure against the competition or what's out there in the marketplace. It's not, you want to do these things before you go measure against the competition. You want to do your homework first. And now we have the opportunity to measure so that we can see, is there some opportunity for us to either scale our offer, or is there some opportunity for us to pull back on some of the expenses, or is this a no bid decision? Is this an opportunity that we should not pursue because it's going to really erode our bottom line? So this is why you need to prepare, understand, leverage, and then scan your opportunities. And then finally, evaluate. Once you've established your pricing, you want to make certain that this is an exercise that you're going through every single time you are presented with an offer. You want to go through this process every time. That is what creates sustainability. Why? Because each opportunity is going to stand alone by itself. It's going to create and present different types of opportunities for your business. It's going to create different types of challenges for your business. Every single one of them needs to stand alone in the evaluation process. That's how you create sustainability. It's not a one and done deal. As you develop this process, it is a continuous process. And when you look at it from that standpoint, now we have the opportunity to create a price that gives us the chance to protect our profits, to ensure that we are generating great revenue, that we're able to invest in the company, that we are enhancing our cash flows, and that we are building equity or increasing our moving towards our exit strategy or increasing our equity in business. So that's the 5-step process. I want you to really think about those things. And are you really keeping the finger on the pulse of your business as it relates to pricing? And if not, what do you need to change and how can you change that? So let's talk a little bit about allowability. And from an allowability standpoint, in the federal government place, there are certain costs that you cannot, as a business, include in your pricing. That includes things like entertainment, interest, penalties. Those are things that you may incur as an organization that you're not included, that's not included in your pricing. But really, at the end of the day, you want to make certain that your accounting processes follow the generally accepted accounting principles. That means that you're keeping good track of your costs, that you're operating on accrual basis of accounting, that you are segregating your expenses between project activity versus operational activity. So at the end of the day, you have a really good generally accepted accounting principles structure in place, and that you're evaluating your finances on a regular monthly basis. And then also you want to make certain that you're following the revenue code, the internal revenue code, because at the end of the day, you want to make certain that the price that you're offering is something that the consumer and the customer is going to accept. All right. And then finally, you want to make certain that you are following the terms and conditions of your contract. That is extremely critical as you are evaluating and developing your pricing. So how do you remain competitive after all of this is said and done? As I mentioned, I've been mentioning it all morning long, pricing is an inside out job. And you want to remember at the end of the day, as CEO of your organization or someone that is responsible for pricing, you want to make certain that you have understand that you have a fiduciary responsibility to your company to evaluate opportunities appropriately, to price them effectively, and to have a process in place that gives you the chance to do a bid, no bid decision before, and that the opportunities are driving you from the inside out, and that the competition is driving the opportunities that you pursue. You want to make certain that you're surveying your market, as we talked about. We want to make certain that you're surveying your competitors. But that is that's the last process, the last step in the pricing process. So as I mentioned before, there's good news and bad news as it relates to pricing. Number one, the good news is that you have a lot of flexibility. The bad news is that you have a lot of flexibility, but you want to make certain that as you are pricing your goods and services, you want to ask yourself, will the consumer, the customer, or the taxpayer pay for this? So build your price from the inside out and ask this question. And then finally, does it meet the customer's budget? If you do these things, then you'll place yourself in a better winning position. So the next step is I want to talk about how creating, going through this process gives you the power to negotiate. So this is our final acronym, POWER. And POWER stands for number one. When you go through this process, you now have the ability to understand and know your proposition, your value proposition that you are offering to your customer, because you're doing things to meet their objectives. Number two, you have the opportunity to know what your options are, right? So now we know that we can use the power of three when we are looking to utilize different goods and services, materials, subcontractors on these opportunities. We have options that are available to us. Number three, we have what you know through this process what you have to lose, because if you're building price from the inside out, you're going from the cost to deliver to the cost of operations to adding your profit to measuring against the customer's budget to measuring against the competition. Now we know what we have to lose instead of waiting for I mentioned earlier that pricing there's two different there's some concerns as it relates to pricing as a subcontractor versus pricing as a prime contractor. Many times as a subcontractor, we're given a budget, we're given a price, and we have to live with it. And sometimes we don't push against it. We don't negotiate against it. We just accept what's being given and we go off and do the job. Okay, great. We're generating revenue, but does that enhance cash flow? Now, if you are doing the job, the work to do your homework to make certain that you're keeping the finger on the pulse of your pricing and you understand what it costs to get the work done from the inside out, now we know what we have to lose. That gives us the power to negotiate. So when we do our homework, we can go back to the prime contractor and say, hey, I know you've established this budget for us. However, we understand that it's going to take this, and this to get this job done. And that what you're offering, which you have placed on us as a budget is not going to work. Is there room for negotiation? You know what you have to lose. It gives you the ability to negotiate. And then from there, it gives you the ability to extract. And what that means is don't discount your price, but scale your offer. If something's not working, pull something off the table, pull it out of the pricing. If your operational expenses are too high, maybe it's time to revisit your budget. But at the end of the day, you know what you need to extract. And then finally, it gives you resolve. It gives you the opportunity to negotiate effectively. It gives you the opportunity to close the deals, but it also gives you the opportunity to make a determinate decision not to bid on an opportunity that is not right for your business. And you get to do that on the front end and not on the back end. So at the end of the day, that gives you the opportunity to preserve your bottom line. So I've said a lot. We've gone through a lot of different things this morning. There are other considerations I want you to think about. Number one, pricing is not perpetual. I talked about that earlier. You want to make certain that you establish a standardized structure, but every opportunity is standing alone on its own. And so what you establish as a price for job A is not going to be the same price that you're offering for every single job that is to come. It is a continuous cycle. Number two, that your pricing has to align with your company's objectives. Once it does, once your pricing aligns with your company's objectives, then at the end of the day, you're again able to protect your your profit, your revenue, your investments, your cash flow, and your equity in the business. You want to make certain that you're raising or lowering your prices as necessary because you're doing the job from the inside out. You're looking at opportunities to stand alone. You're listening to your customers, not just in the RFP, but once you get inside the door, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they're sharing with you, look for other opportunities. These things will help you win new opportunities moving forward. Continuously monitor the competition, monitor changes in the marketplace. I think we've had a really big lesson about monitoring the marketplace since the pandemic. So you want to make certain that you continue to monitor the marketplace and see what's changing out there, what technologies are changing, what things are changing the pricing. We're talking about supply chain issues, and that's increasing the pricing on things. So you want to make certain that you're staying in tune with that, and you want to monitor your budget annually. If you don't have a budget in place, every August or September, you should go through a budgeting process that leads you to establishing your basis for your pricing. And then every time you pursue an opportunity, you're adding that new opportunity to your budget so that now we can put forth an effective price. So if we have time, I'd like to take you through a case study. So I'm going to ask our key presenters here today if we have enough time for me to go through a case study.
Yes, we sure do.
We do. Okay, awesome. Very good. So show me the money. This is the CEO that we talked about earlier. Just show me the money. I just want the opportunity. So this is a real case story. This is a real story that occurred with one of our clients. I have changed the name, so Jerry Maguire is not real, but the company is an IT company. We still continue to do business with them. It is not called Have It Your Way IT Services, but it is an information technology company that provides services to corporations, state and local governments, and federal governments. And so one of the things that we did with them was to help them establish a really good structure for their pricing models. So the problem with them, going back to our first acronym, which is PRICE, right? Which is protecting our profit, protecting our revenue, protecting our investments, protecting our cash flow, and protecting our equity or our exit strategy. The problem was that they were not earning any profit on their contracts. In this particular instance, they were a subcontractor primarily to primes. And in their case, they were giving the hourly rates that they could bill. So they accepted those rates. They did not negotiate. They accepted those rates and they continued to move forward. Revenue was not growing, but they were concerned about losing their existing customers. They did not have enough funds to invest in capital needs because the pricing that they had received or accepted by the prime was not enough for them to generate enough profitability that would then allow them to increase their cash flow and increase their investments. Cash flow was always too low for their comfort. It was impacting their equity in the business. So if you don't have enough profit, that means you don't have enough cash. And at the end of the day, that means that you don't have enough equity in the business. So the pricing scenario for them was penetration pricing. They were pursuing a project that presented itself. They just wanted to get their foot in the door. They were looking over the fence to see what the competition prices were. Okay, great. It's good to go to the marketplace, but don't let that be the first place that you go. They were undercutting their prices to win the opportunities. They never considered ways to cover other operational costs. And the reason why they did is because they never considered the operation cost in the price. They just looked over the fence to see what the competition was doing. And that was then going to be their offer. They were looking to come underneath the competition, the end. They significantly increase pricing on existing customers to compensate for lower pricing. So that's what I see happen with companies too. If you get a contract and that contract is not compensating enough, is not enough profitability on the bottom line, the companies will go in and do what I call price gouge on another opportunity. Don't do that. Instead, you need to establish a good structure that would allow you to move forward with good, effective pricing. And so in terms of a solution, what happened? This is where the power came in. We helped them to identify their ideal customers and their ideal projects. So instead of pursuing those things that were just those opportunities that were just a mad dash to the bottom line, we look for opportunities that made sense for them, that gave them the opportunity to partner with an organization or organizations where they could develop good effective pricing and meet the customer's budget. They considered the cost of operations. So now we built a structure that allowed them to understand what was the cost of their overhead and the cost of them to keep the business operational, and how does that apply to their contracts and their pricing. So we helped them establish that model, and that then gave them the opportunity to be a bit more equitable. And then from there, they considered the average market salary. So now we are going out to take a look at what is it really going to cost us. So instead of just accepting the prices being given to us, we're going out and we're going to measure. We're going to take a look at what is the average price for goods and services in these categories for us to be able to really deliver good goods and services to our customer. And then they compared their full price against the competition. So they did the inside work first, and then they went to the outside. And then from there, they were able to establish a quarterly pricing and budget review process to make certain that they were keeping their finger on the pulse of their business. So this is the process they went through to build effective pricing. So what were the results? They established a really good value proposition because now they know exactly what the customer needs, how they fit into that scenario, and then how that price fits within that scenario. Number one, they knew their break even. I didn't talk about that earlier, but when you go through this process, you know what your break even point is. And when you're negotiating or looking to put forth an offer on an opportunity, you can make a decision of whether or not to accept a certain price because you know your break even. You never want to go below your break even, but if you don't go through this process and you have no idea how your operational costs impact your pricing, then you don't know what your break even point is. You're just accepting deals. And so this does give you the opportunity to determine your break even point. They were well positioned to know where there was wiggle room. This is what I talked about. Don't discount your price, scale your offer. They knew where they needed to take things off the table. They knew how they would measure against the competition because they did their homework. And so they had room for, as a result, to negotiate with the customer on their pricing. And they knew the impact of accepting or denying a final offer. Again, that's that bid or no bid decision that a lot of companies are afraid, especially small businesses are afraid to go through. You've got to go through a bid, no bid decision. That is a business strategy. And so now they have the ability to make certain decisions and determinations. And this helped them create better pricing, to win more deals, and to negotiate with their prime contractors in a better way. And so you want to go through this process again that will help you keep your fingers on the pulse of your business and establish an effective price that gives you the power to negotiate. So I said a lot this morning. I'm hoping that this was useful and helpful. I do want you all to think about these things and what will you do differently moving forward to ensure that you're pricing effectively, that you're preserving that bottom line, that you're enhancing your cash flow, that you're meeting the customer's objectives, and that you're then measuring yourself against the competition, giving yourself the power to negotiate. So I thank you all for listening. I'm Lisa Anderson. My company is Unallowable Transformation Solutions. I have my contact information here on the screen. And if there are any questions, I open up for questions.
We're going to look through the chat right now, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
So Lisa, I don't see any questions in the chat, but I see some amazing compliments about your presentation. Let me just tell you, this presentation is fantastic. This information is amazing, Lisa. Great presentation to everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your informative presentation. So one question just popped up. Is there a reason why you recommended August/September for budgeting processes, please?
Absolutely. I recommend August generally because you have most of the year that has already transpired. And your budget should begin with the foundation of your previous year. And then from there, you can start to look forward. So if you start your budgeting process in August, then you have most of the year that has already transpired that you can build into that budget as foundation. But at that point in time, a lot of companies have new opportunities in their pipeline that they can add into that budgeting process at that point in time as well. In addition, that budget process can help you plan for the new year. It can also help you think about and consider, we didn't talk about this, and this has nothing to do with pricing, but it also gives you the opportunity to start thinking about and being proactive about your tax planning, because you're looking at your finances, you're looking at future opportunities, you're thinking about your strategy. That all will lead to pricing, or a pricing structure, but it should also give you some insight so that you can start doing some tax planning at that point in time. August is a great time to do that.
Next question, Alicia. Yes, the slides will be sent out at least before the end of the week, early Monday. The next question is there a good, effective approach for price renegotiation?
Renegotiation. So I need to know a little bit more about what that means. Does that mean that we're on an existing contract and it's coming up for new award? What does renegotiation mean to you?
We'll give that person a moment to type in the chat.
Okay.
She says yes, existing.
Existing. Okay. So, I mean, the great news is that you have the work. So you already have some inside knowledge. So you're beating the competition from that standpoint. You just need to be able to use that knowledge to develop your value. You follow the same process. Just because you have bid on an opportunity and you've won that opportunity doesn't mean that you shouldn't go back to the drawing. This is when you're renegotiating an existing contract, it is considered to be a new opportunity, and it should go through the same exact process as any other new opportunity. The great thing is when you're renegotiating a contract, you have a lot more insight about this opportunity than you did when you bid that opportunity from the very beginning. So you want to use that insight to your benefit, to your favor, so that you can truly effectively evaluate the price, the cost, And hopefully at this point in time, you've grown as an organization. So maybe now your operational expenses don't cost as much on a contract as they did when you first bid that opportunity. So is there, to go back to your question, is there a process that can be followed for renegotiation? It's the same process we talked about today. You have to take your renegotiation and consider it as a new opportunity, but with greater insight.
Alexa responded back, awesome, thanks.
You're welcome.
There's no more questions in the chat. Thank you,
Awesome.
Lisa.
You're welcome. I want to thank you all for participating today, and hopefully this was good information that you'll be able to walk away with. And thank you all again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lisa. This was amazing. Oh my gosh. Look, I am publicly inviting you back, right? We might have to do like maybe look a 2 or 3.5 hour session. I don't know, but I definitely want you back. We are going to be planning some in-person things here at New Carrollton location. And I'm just going to publicly say I would love to have you back. The audience is absolutely loving all of the information. This is awesome information for their business because this area here, it doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah.
Right. And so, we get our basic growth information stuff, but this right here is what I consider the meat and potatoes. I mean, I learned some information. I wrote down your acronyms, starting with the price, and then, profit, revenue, investments, cash flow, exit strategy. But that pulse, oh yeah, that pulse is something else. I wrote that down. Prepare, it gets you to the objective, understand, deals with your delivery. Leverage deals with, how you're doing your research and everything. Scan helps you with the positioning, and evaluate helps you with the sustainability for your business. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
This is some good, look, this is big meat and potatoes, So I just want to say thank you so much. And I do look forward to you coming back. So we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to being back.
Great, great. So to the audience, I want to say thank you again for attending our Business Success Series for The Price is Right. Things to consider when pricing your projects, presented by Ms. Lisa Anderson with, I'll make sure I'm saying this right, Anavo Transformation Solutions, LLC.
It's Anavo.
Anavo,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Good. That's why I said make sure I want to say thank you to Charles Mott. This has been another awesome collaboration. Charles, thank you. I really appreciate you and all of your help. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my small business program certification and outreach team. They always do an amazing job coordinating and making sure we're doing good in the background with these. I hope you all were able to learn some important information to help your businesses grow. We do look forward to getting feedback from you, so please fill out the survey that you will get after this event. We look forward to seeing you at the next outreaches that we're going to be having. So we do have one that's going to be April the 13th that we are hosting, called Surety Bond Presentations by Peter Gibbs. That will be a virtual. Another department within Metro will be having one, as you see tomorrow, that will be down at the LaFont Plaza. Please make sure, if you haven't already, you can register for that. We're not hosting it, but we are a guest at that outreach. Remember, here at WMATA, certification is the key to participation. So we do look forward to receiving your certification applications here. I want everyone to have a great rest of their day, and thank you so much for being present with us. Take care.
Good morning. That concludes our presentation. We look forward to seeing you on April the 13th. Have a great day.